How's it going? Hopefully you're chilling, vibing, hanging out, having a good time, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be going over essentially how I edit my photos. I've never made a video like this before. I've been shooting for like 8 years and I've never really shown anyone how I edit my photos. I just released a preset pack, so if you want to get a preset pack, it'll be linked down below. Follow my Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty proud of myself, to say the least. I've never made a preset pack before and it's pretty gas, so I recommend you guys to go get it. Nevertheless, today we're going to be editing a few of my pictures. I just had a trip to Toronto recently and there's a few photos that I haven't. Oh shit. All right, so for the first photo we're going to be editing is this Toronto skyline, and I'm just going to dive right into my process as to how I edit my photos. Also, I can't guarantee that I do this correctly. I do it my way. So essentially what I do first is I'll go to the highlights. I kind of want the highlights to pop. The highlights and the whites kind of like coexist in my opinion. I usually bring the contrast up a little bit. Bring the shadows. We'll bring the shadows up for now. Also, this is a very like blue picture. Maybe my white balance is off, but I'm not going to fix that yet. Also, what I do for my tone curve here is I have a little preset that's called points. Bam, bam, bam. I'll get to that later. Don't worry about it. Mid-tones, I'm going to get back to you. Essentially, what I do is I mess with this a little bit and then I go straight down to the bottom where I have my calibration settings. Essentially, it just fucks your picture sideways. So like if I just go bam and then bam and then bam and then up the saturation, like this is absolutely atrocious. We're not going to do this. I've found for me personally, if I take my blue primary, half it, bam and bam, that's where I like. I'll even go up a bit of saturation so I can pop that later. And then from here, the picture is just straight teal. There's nothing here. So I go way back to the top. Now I mess with my white balance or temperature and I get like this moody vibe with a bit of teals in it. Bada bam. And already off rip, before and after, it's kind of banging, not even gonna lie to you. So after that, I'll bring down the clarity a bit. This is something that I've been doing recently. I don't know. I just really like, I used to bump my clarity and just crazy sharpness and clarity, but for some reason I'm really enjoying like minus 20 or so clarity for there. And then after that I'll go down to my tone curve. I usually leave my blacks where they are. I'll go mid-tones first. That looks about fine. And I always think it's hilarious when people tell me like how I edit, but I sit in here for hours and I just go whoop whoop whoop, or I'll grab this slider and go whoop whoop whoop. Like you just move sliders until it looks good. More so in the highlights. I want to bring the highlights out more with the whites so I can affect the whole picture, not just that. And I'll go a hair there, and I'll bring the blacks up just a little bit because I want a bit faded in the blacks, but not too much. Okay, this is all right. Let me bring down the highlights a bit. Continuing on, after I do my tone curve, I will go into my HSL color. Some people have it like just by hue and they click saturation. Motherfuckers are weird. I just click all. Anyway, off rip, I need to bring these shadows down. For my sliders, let's see. I'll go like probably like there. Bam, that like that. Kind of like that more orange. I don't like to bring too much of the teal out. I try to keep the blues actual blues. Cause like here, bam, that's teal, bam, that's purple. I try to keep them like in the blues, you know, maybe like a hair teal, but look at that before and after. So far it ain't looking too shabby, but we ain't done yet. You can't really see it too much in this photo except for like over here in the sun, but usually what I'll do is I'll bring my yellows down, but for this I kind of like the yellows up, maybe a bit of orange to flare into the sky a bit. Yeah, no, the red's showing anywhere. Oh, fun little fact, if you guys didn't know this, say like you see where my cursor is on the right side right here, say you don't know what this color is, it's probably like green, teal, or blue or whatever. If you go, you're bringing your cursor here, click that and then hover, look on the right side. Now on this right side it'll show you which color you're selecting, in case you're like, yo, I'm trying to change this color of this orange. Bam, that's orange. What's this? Oh, that's blue. In case you need that for some reason. I use it sometimes, but I kind of like bringing back the blues. Essentially, you just keep going until you get the look that you want. Like right here, if you go negative yellow luminance, this just looks muddy. Like I just like slapped Crayola all over my fucking picture. That looks terrible. So if you wanted to have yellow, I'd probably put it like there, but I don't really want too much yellow in this picture, so I'll probably go like right there. So there's like enough, but not too much. This little area, if you're curious as to what lens correction does, essentially what lens correction does is, you'll notice this if you're shooting a portrait of a person and the background is super bright, On some Canon cameras, I haven't seen it too much in Sony's, but on Canon cameras, you get a lot of chromatic aberration, either way. If you have a super expensive lens, you really won't get too much of it, but if you're broke like me and you have like a $300 85 mil, you get a lot of chromatic aberration. And essentially, if you zoom in on a person, so this might work, for example. So if I go click manual, and then I click this little eyedropper thing, if I hover over this, click that green, it kind of dims down that green, and then you click the other green, bam, bam. Now this entire green area essentially is gone. And what you'll do is you'll use that eyedropper to get rid of like the purple hue or pink or red hue around people's face with chromatic aberration. So that's how that works. But if you go into lens correction, I shot this on a 50 mil, and it essentially just like warps your picture back to how it should be, to keeping a horizon line level. You don't want anything like too warped or anything. And then you just add a little bit of vignette if you want a vignette. From there, I'll add a bit of effects vignette. I don't want to go too crazy, but like I'll add like a little bit, you know. We're almost done. I'm actually really liking this picture. We're almost done. But one thing that I've actually learned in the past few years, not even few years, in the past few months I've learned about this, but I was always too scared to go into the color grading tab because I see these giant sliders and I don't know what the hell this shit means. I got you. I'm gonna put you on. Check it out. Ready? So I'm gonna go to this one. This is your shadows, your midtones, and your highlights. What the hell is this? Global? Oh shit, I never fucked with global. Okay, we're not gonna be doing that today. In the shadows tab, I do this for my photos. If you want to replicate it, you're more than welcome to. But I have, essentially this is what I found that works good for me, is I'll take my shadows and essentially it's just changing the color of the shadows. So if you want it more green shadows, more red, more blue, yada yada, I found my personal favorite sweet spot to be in like the greenish orange. So like right there. And then after you let go, bam, you got your spot. If you click it again, you can slide amongst, oh, sometimes it fucks up. You can slide on this little like handrail, whatever the fuck this shit's called. So I'm gonna go like bam. And then I don't usually mess with the midtones, but the highlights, I'll try and contrast the orange with the blue on the other side. So I'll find a good blue that I like right there. I'll go back and forth. I kind of like how that looks. And then if you want to see the before and after of just the color grading, bam, this little eyedropper, you just click and unclick. Usually it's very subtle unless you want to go crazy with it. If you go crazy with it, I mean, you're gonna notice it, right? I usually just like enough to where it balances the image out and it makes it even. So that's what I do. So we're almost done here. There might be one thing I wanted to add. I really enjoy how like you can see the colors here, not colors, but like the reflection and how you have a hard cast off shadow there. It's pretty nice. Maybe a bit more of this, maybe a bit more of that. I think I want to dial back. If you add a linear gradient here, I kind of want to dial back this water. Not with saturation, maybe like, and then one thing that I've actually started using as of like Lightroom updates, and then you have to like learn, you gotta like essentially relearn how Lightroom works. But one of the updates is absolutely crazy. So right here on the right side, if you click this little brush thing, I don't fucking know. On a new picture, it'll look different, but for here, because I already added a gradient, you click this little plus symbol. And then if you wanted to know what it normally looks like on this kind of picture, if you click the little brush, a mask, whatever, call it a mask. But you have subject, sky, and background. If there's a person in your picture, it can detect the person, and then it'll like mask the teeth or mask the eyebrows or mask your facial features, bro. It's crazy. So for this kind of picture, we're gonna go back over to this one. In our masking area, we're gonna add a new one. It's gonna be called the select sky. Bam. That is ridiculous. It's almost a 1-for-1 perfect mask of the sky. It's a little messed up over here. We're not gonna worry about it too much. It's a sunset, doesn't really matter. But once you start moving, look at that. That's crazy. If I would have known, if I would have had this technology 3 years ago, bro, I'd be moving. Don't even worry about it. Okay, dial this down. We're gonna bring the one look that I really like is what I used to do in the past is I used to like crazy bring out the sky and make everything crazy saturated. I liked how that looked, but at the same time, your editing style like progresses over time. Sometimes you'll add more of this, you'll add more of that, you'll minus the shadows, you up the contrast. Your style will essentially evolve as you do. So with that being said, one thing that I like to do now is I like to bring out the highlights like that by bringing them down, and then I'll contrast that by bringing up the whites to make it like a really punchy glow effect almost. Maybe add a bit more contrast, and I mean that essentially is a final image. Maybe one thing we can change is just to double check that the horizon line is good and click level. Yeah, it was basically perfect. Cool. So yeah, bam. That's how I would edit this photo. If you wanted to edit along with me to get this kind of like effect, swag. If not, no worries. But I don't want to end it there. I want to do one more final image of a portrait so you can see, because editing portraits and editing landscapes are completely different. When you're editing landscapes, you can bang out reds and oranges and greens, and you can just like make your look how you want it to look. But when it comes to portraits, you can do it stylistically, or you can do it stylistically but color accurate. Does that make sense? So essentially the biggest thing when it comes to portraits is focusing on skin tones. So I'm gonna edit, let's find a picture of my brother here. Look at him, looking swag as hell. When you're editing a portrait, you have to go about it completely different. You have to do the actual like adjustments that you want to do to the picture, but keeping the skin tones where they should be. Because if I like off rip, I go bam, 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 bam. Doesn't look too shabby. It's a little messed up. I'm just clicking shit. But if I go over here and I mess with my, or way down here, his skin is just gonna get worse and worse and worse the more that I mess with that. Like that looks absolutely atrocious. But say you like this teal image here, but you can't have his skin tones look like that. That looks sickening. That looks terrible. So we're gonna bring that back, and I'm gonna essentially show you how I go about editing my portraits. Not to say that they're the best ever and that I'm the best ever at this, but either way, off rip, I feel like this is a little crooked. I'd be right, bam, fix that. So composition isn't terrible, but it's I don't know if that's the best composition. I could center him. Maybe I'll center him. What's that look like if I center him? Beep, beep. What's that look like? That's not bad. It's not bad, actually. I kind of like that. Okay. I kind of do the exact same thing. That's just like my flow, my workflow when it comes to editing. But again, when you're doing portraits, you really have to not fuck up the person's skin color. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to do my exact same thing here. Negative 50, 50, 50. I'll bring up a bit of saturation. And like I said, this looks absolutely terrible. His skin tones aren't terrible, but like the image is not good. I told you the way that I do shit is a little weird. So I'll do all of that and I'll bring this warmth in. So now he's already, okay, from that before and after, he's already starting to come to life. You feel me? I'm gonna minus clarity a little bit just to give him a little glow around his hair type shit, because like, you know what I'm saying? Just like a little bit, just a little bit. I don't usually mess with dehaze or texture or vibrance or saturation. Maybe I'll hit a bit of vibrance if need be, but not usually. So tone curve, I want to bring up the blacks a little bit like that. Mids. All right. Bam. That's not terrible. Okay. So moving on to like the orange and yellow. As you can see, orange is like the biggest thing here when it comes to skin tones. We don't want to mess it up too bad. Off rip, it looks great. So I don't think I'm going to mess with his skin tones too much unless I have to. But for this kind of picture, I think what we're going to have to mess with the most is masking. And like I showed you guys earlier, you can like select, look at this, bro. You select the mask, subject, sky, or background, or bam, it detected a person. Would you look at that? I select the person, facial skin, eyebrows, eye sclera, it's just the white part of your fucking eye, iris and pupil, lips, teeth, hair, and clothes. That is insane. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for this is I'm going to grab the background and then it'll mask everything but him, and I just want the background to like be less crazy. Bring it down a little bit, bring that down, maybe like that, maybe like that, you know what I'm saying? That looks all right. That looks all right. Look at that, before and after, not too shabby. There's a bit of character now to the picture. Okay, continuing on, let's finish up this. I kind of do like the yellows a bit in this. Orange, we don't want to go too or less. So I'll find like a hot spot like that. Red, I'll usually zoom in and see if I can enhance it or not, because he's got some red nose, red cheeks. That's not too bad. Also, big tip, if you're editing portraits of people and you want to get rid of acne, not to put my brother on blast here because he's got a little bit of acne, but you zoom in, bam. But on the right side here, you have the bunch of things, one of them being the healing tool, healing brush. I'm on a trackpad. I think you just like use scroll wheel and a mouse if you're using a mouse, but on the trackpad, just 2 fingers up and down to like resize it. This shit crazy, ready? So I'm gonna go drag and then bam, it finds a spot. If you don't like where it grabbed, you can grab a new spot and work with it there. But it's not too bad of a spot. Or you can just click. That's a freckle, so I keep the freckle. Bam. Get rid of that. Oh, that looks terrible. So let's move that to like there. Grab that. And maybe this little spot in his lip. You click it again, and there. Now he's got no more acne. There's much better ways to do this in Photoshop, but if you're just trying to get past a few little dots here and there, works fantastic. So there's a lot of blue here. Maybe if I bring this up a little bit, yeah, I want to bring it up a little bit more. Bring up the yellows just a little bit. You see how like, you see this area right here, how that looks absolutely terrible. If you bring up your yellows, it'll kind of get rid of that. So I think I want to get rid of that completely. Maybe I'll leave a little bit just so you can like tell that that's the CN Tower. Reds aren't too shabby. Again, let's look at the reds. A little bit of glow will never hurt no one. And bam, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good, but we ain't missing one thing yet. What would that be, you might ask? I'm gonna show you motherfucking color grade section. So shadows, I'm gonna do the same thing that I normally do. I'm gonna go like a bit greenish, bit orangish, like that. About that, I like how that looks. Grab the highlights, go for that like more blue teal. I'm gonna go a little bit more than usual. Maybe like there. Before and after, look at that. It's very subtle. Or just to show you, before, after, before, after. It's subtle, but it evens out the color correction in my opinion. It just like evens out colors and it makes it look stylish and it makes it look good. And that's what I like to do. Moving on, I could bang out the colors a little bit more, but I really like how this looks so far. Do something like that. I'll bring down the shadows a hair more. And I think this one's done. I really like how this looks. And one more time, before and after. Not too shabby. Again, I'm not saying I'm the best at doing this, but if I had to give any advice, it's when you're editing portraits, try and do it stylistically to where it's your kind of picture and your edit and you like it. But keep the skin tones. You know what I'm saying? Skin tones are the biggest thing people look at, and at the end of the day, you don't want your boy in this picture looking like that. Because that looks like you give this picture to someone, they're gonna be like, you're terrible. So don't do that. I like how this looks. So let's export these really quick. All right, so those are some fairly, like, in my opinion, very simple and easy to do kind of edits. It's a Skyline. There's nothing too creative or crazy about the picture itself. It's more just like getting your editing to where you like it to be. But in the future, if you want to see how I edit my more like crazier stylistic kind of pictures, kind of like this one right here. This one was at nighttime, lots of lights, lots of color, lots of things to do in camera, and also just my entire editing process is like flipped, because when you're working with night photos, it's a lot different. You want to make sure you can grab as many stars as you can. You want to make sure that the colors are making sense. So if you want to see a video on that, or even like this, look at this one, super sick. I have this is I think an ambulance that ran through, fixed this up in Photoshop, brought this clouds out. Like, editing night photos or more creative photos have a completely different like mindset that I have when I go about it. So if you want to see a video on those, let me know. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoy. This is how essentially I edit my photos. Not to say I'm the best or the worst. Hopefully it helps. If you have any other video suggestions, leave them down in the comments. I'm really excited to make a lot more videos like these. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and peace out, baby.